Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is 12:22 a.m. and I am on my way to go get a Diet Coke. I'm dying for a Diet Coke. It is a beautiful evening outside. It is 73 degrees and it's really nice. It's a little bit warmer than it was last night. Of course, it's a little bit earlier than it was last night, so I don't know. The temperature may still drop. But it is really beautiful outside, and it kind of looked like it was gonna rain earlier, but I don't know. Maybe that was just like heat lightning, or I don't know. It's past though. So, I am going to get a Diet Coke, and then I'm gonna do a little vlog. I know you guys love when I say it's not gonna be a long vlog, so tonight I'm not gonna make it a long vlog, and I will stick to that because my nose is, I trimmed my beard today, and you know, whenever I trim my beard, it drives me nuts. But anyway, I want to listen to my audiobook. I have got to get it done before the end of the month, which I have 2 days after today to finish it, and I have less than 2 hours left. I listened to a little bit of it last night, but I also, when I got done vlogging last night, I came home and I watched 2 episodes of Grace and Frankie. So I think I have 3 episodes left of the season, the last season. It's good, but it's so, I don't know, there's something about it that makes me so sad. And then today, what did I do today? I got up and ran a bunch of errands, went and got, well, I got my coffee and then ran a few errands, and then I went and did a review of the Dunkin' Donuts, what is it called? The Dunkin' Donuts cinnamon, sugar, cream, pumpkin, something latte. And that review is up, so I won't tell you what I think about that, but it was pretty good. I'll tell you that I thought it was pretty good, and then you can go watch the rest of the review. And then after that, I drove by Tanya's to take it to her, because I didn't want the rest of it. But she was like taking a nap at that time. I drove by the kennel and her car wasn't there, and then I drove by her house and like the garage door was up or was down and stuff, so I was like, oh, she's probably napping. So anyway, we talked later, and yeah, then that was that. Then I came home and filmed some videos, and I was gonna do a live stream tonight, but I was like, well, I can do that the next 2 nights because Alex is gonna be out of town. He is going to North Coast in Chicago. He is all packed. His bag is in the car. He's working tomorrow till about 1, and then he's driving up there with like 3 girls, and they are all going, and he's real excited. And it's, I guess, Friday and Saturday, and then they're gonna go to brunch and go to Millennium Park, and then brunch, then Millennium Park, and then they're gonna come home. So he'll be home early evening on Sunday. I don't know, sometime on Sunday evening. I think I'm gonna do brunch with Sarah on Sunday, because she texted me tonight and was like, you're gonna be around and I'm gonna be around, we should go have brunch together. I was like, okay. So we're gonna go do brunch on Sunday, I think, somewhere, we don't know yet where. And yeah, that was about my day. It was good, it was real relaxed. I just had a really, really good, positive day today, you know? Talked a lot on the phone, talked to my sponsor, talked to Tanya for a long time, talked to some other friends of mine. And, we watched the finale of Pose tonight, finally, the season finale. It was so sad. Like, I love that show, but I just bawled my eyes out through the whole thing. Like, the whole episode tonight, I was just, like, crying through the whole thing. But it was good. And now I'm vlogging. And when I'm done vlogging, I'm going to listen to my audiobook until I hopefully get some of it done. You know, I know that, like, I was past these people and they were, like, passing a blunt. You know, in Indiana, marijuana is not legal yet, but, I mean, I know it's just a matter of time, and I think people assume because I'm sober that I have huge issues with it, which I don't. I actually believe in the decriminalization of marijuana, and I won't even get into the facts and everything about it. There's no point, but you know, people always are like, well, if it was legal there, do you think that you could smoke pot? And I'm like, no, because I smoked pot the way that I drank, addictively. Like, I would smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke. And that's how I smoked pot, we called it back in the day. And that's how it would be even if it was legal. I mean, alcohol is legal. I can go into a liquor store and buy it. That doesn't mean that I'm successful at it, and I'm not. But it just is still weird for me, like, you know, when I see people that are just like, I don't know why, but like, it's so strange to me just to see people be so blatant about it. Like, because it feels weird to me still, you know what I mean? Like, that, like, our world is changing like that. Where were we? Well, like in Las Vegas, you know, it's legal. And so you'd see people with like blunts and shit behind their ear. It was just like weird to me. It's just, I don't know why it's weird to me. It just is, the light from the steering wheel is like right down on there. But anyway, it was just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy for me, you know. I'm still not used to it yet. It's like another world. But I will say I don't really like the smell. I never liked the smell of it. I didn't like the smell of it when I smoked it. I don't like the smell of it now, definitely. Like when I smell it. I know some people love the smell of it. I don't. I think it smells funky. That's just my personal 2 cents about it, though. So I've got lots of fun things planned this weekend because it's PP and PE Eaters Bachelor Weekend. We have a huge announcement that we're going to be making this weekend. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And, what else? Yeah. Oh, somebody asked, like, when I'm going to start using the camera that Alex gave me. So if you don't know, Alex gave me a camera for our anniversary. And it's, like, similar to a GoPro. It's not a GoPro, but it's similar to that. And, I had said on my vlog that I'm almost positive I did, that I was going to take this weekend and kind of get myself acquainted with it. And so I was going to put it up sometime, like it'll probably be up sometime next week. I'll start using it because I'm just going to keep it in the car. So it'll be like he was telling me, like when the Kardashians, like, and they're in their car and they're like filming, like this is what they use. I'm just not going to be used to it because it won't, like, so my camera right now has like a screen that flips up, so like I can see myself at any given time that I look. It won't have that because it's like this big and it's just a box, but it does have a thing that will just like sit there. So I've got to figure out how to use it and how to work it. I may have to go back and forth with it just a little bit. It has all these different attachments and different ways that you can use it, but hopefully it'll make the vlog, you know, more fun. I'll be able to do a lot of things outside, and so like if I go into a store, I can take it into a store with me and things like that. It'll be easier than having to carry some huge big camera. But I'm just gonna have to kind of get used to like holding it up and like, you know, knowing that you're not just seeing my eye or what are you seeing, you know? So we'll see, we'll figure it out. And yeah, then I'm gonna start using that pretty soon. And then I also want to clean the bathroom this weekend because it needs to be cleaned. And then I want to start on my closet upstairs before the fall, so I can start putting my summer clothes away and figure out what stuff I want to give away to like Goodwill and all that kind of stuff. And the shoes, I need to go through the shoes and all that. So that's this weekend as well. And I'd like to read a little bit. I haven't really felt like reading a whole lot the last 2 weeks. I don't know why. I just haven't even listening to my audiobook, and I think I'm kind of in a reading slump a little bit because I read like 3 or 4 books that were so good back to back and listened to really good books, and now I'm in this Lock Every Door, and it's okay, but it just isn't like the greatest book I've ever read, and I'm totally stuck in it, and I'm just like I'm just not that into it, you know? And it kind of sucks that's and I only have 2 hours left, so I just need to finish it and get it done, and then I can go on to something else. But I also don't want to read the what do you call it? I don't want to read the true crime book for September this early, because I kind of wish I would have waited with the one for August. It would have been fresher in my mind. But that case was pretty fresh in my mind anyway. And then I started watching a lot of the interviews and stuff like that, so it was interesting. So, I mean, I mean, for that reason, it was nice that I listened to it early, you know, instead of waiting till the last minute. It's kind of busy out for a Thursday night. Maybe it's because it's a little bit earlier. I don't know. I don't have tons to say tonight. Usually I'll start talking and it'll just like take me in a direction, but I'm like hoping that like something snags, but I don't have a whole lot to say tonight. I don't know. I want to clean the kitchen and downstairs too. Like that's usually like the first thing I do when like Alex goes out of town. It's like I make the bed real nice because I love the bed being made real nice. He likes it just, you know, torn up so he can get back into a torn up bed. And then I will, that's like, like when I get up tomorrow, I'll make the bed really nice and clean up the bedroom a little bit. And then I'll clean the kitchen, and then I'll probably clean the bathroom tomorrow or Saturday. Like that's not like a number one must. But I just like to have my space kind of, you know, whatever. And then I'll probably put in some candle waxes. Yeah. I put a candle wax in earlier today. I'm like, did I keep it going? Like, is it still going? Alex must have turned it off because I don't remember it going when I was standing in the kitchen. No, I had them going in both of them. I must have turned them off because I don't remember them being on later. I almost passed McDonald's though. Do you ever do that? Do you ever just so get caught up in your head that you almost like forget what you're doing? I kind of would like to make dinner plans, so like, because I'm going to go back on program on Monday. Well, unless we do some kind of Labor Day deal, and then I'll do it on Tuesday. But I kind of would like to make dinner plans one night this weekend. So maybe I'll reach out to my sponsor and see if she and Tanya want to go out to eat. I hope I have a nickel. I just brought all these dollars. I had all these dollars from Las Vegas, and I just, look at this. All dollar bills. Put in my car for meetings. So I don't know how much people know about 12-step programs, but 12-step programs are fully self-supporting. So they rely on donations. And so the way that it works, I'm like trying to pull this quarter out, and it's my P.O. box key. So the way that it works is that like if it's in a church basement, like a church will charge so much a month for you to, for the meeting to be rented out, right? And it can be a different amount for each church. I mean, it usually always is. And then we take donations, and then you pay rent that way. I keep on pulling quarters out. I'm just gonna pay with a quarter. Oh, I wonder what she got. Her screen refreshed already. I'm nosy like that.
Thank you, McDonald's up here.
Yeah, can I get a large Diet Coke, please?
Anything else for you?
Nope, that's it.
109.
And then, like, the money for the meeting kind of just, like, adds up, and then over time they, like, split it, and they send some to, like the main office. I'm trying to talk about this in a really vague, ambiguous way. Anyway, it's split up, and it's, like, sectioned off and given to certain things. But, so that way, we pay for, like, our own space, and it's not somebody's giving it to us as charity and all of that kind of stuff. And all of that is really, really important. And there's a reason behind, like, why it all happens that way, that we're self-supporting and that we're not governing, that there's no, like, president of a 12-step program that makes all of the final rules. There's no, like, vice president. There's no, you know what I mean? And it's important that it runs that way. You know, all positions are, like, elected by everybody in the group, and but they're not even, like, elected positions. They're like, you serve a term, and then when your term is done, you're done. And what's it called? The spirit of rotation. I don't know why I cannot remember. I was real involved in service for a long time. The spirit of, I think it's called the spirit of rotation. But anyway, basically what it says is that, you know, like you serve a 2-year term and then you give it up to somebody else that they can serve a 2-year term, and nobody's more or any less important than somebody else. And nobody's vote is more or less important than anybody else's. It's really interesting, you know, when you sit in a 12-step program, especially when you've been in it, like I've been, you know, involved in a 12-step program more than half of my life, and you see how effectively it runs with very few arguments over things, you know, and huge decisions being made, decisions about money even, you know, being made, huge conventions being put together, international conventions being put together with very little arguing. I mean, maybe some differences of opinions, but everything is, you know, voted on and things like that. And then you compare it to like world governments and you see it and you're like, well, we have a model for how things could work effectively, you know, and it's interesting that, I don't know, we don't see that sometimes, you know. I think it's, you know, Tanya and I have been talking a lot about this lately, about like in our past just having a lot of chaos and toxicity around us, like in our friend group, not just and not that we didn't contribute to that as well, because we did, you know, but not just in families or whatever, but like in our friend group as well. And it's so weird, like, being removed from it. Like, I'm so not a part of that, like, sometimes when I go to social media, whether it's, like, you know, because I have to go to, like, Twitter, and I have to go to Instagram to, like, see, like, what people are saying for my Peter Monn channel, and I have to, like, you know, whatever, like, read the comments, and it's kind of sad to me sometimes, like, and not that I've not been above it at times, because I have. My nose is driving me crazy. I mustn't have, like, I thought I trimmed around there with the little scissors. But anyway, it's crazy just to me how negative tons and tons and tons of people are, you know? And it's like, and I think that when you're in it, it's fun, and it seems like high drama and whatever, but like, when you're removed from that for a while, it's almost kind of like you back away from it. It's almost too much. It's one thing for me to read about it, you know, and talk about it in a video and then turn the camera off and be done with it. But I can't, like, that, it's too much for me sometimes, you know, like, I mean, it really, really is. And, you know, there was a time when that I was real driven by that stuff, and I really enjoyed it, and I just don't today. I mean, I really don't enjoy it. Like, I think people sometimes, you know, I've gotten some comments where people are like, yeah, we get it. You have peace and serenity in your life. I don't know. Like, if you're saying that comment, you obviously don't get it. You know, it's like, I really do. And I think when you really do have a grasp on peace and serenity in your life, you protect it at any cost. And especially when I think that you see that other people don't have it. And that's a mirror for me on how I used to be. I mean, there was a time that I didn't. Let's just be for real. There's been a lot of times in my life when I had no peace and serenity, and I was just, you know, like, ate up with chaos and toxicity. I fed off of it, you know, and it affected my personal life. And this is long before YouTube, but probably as well on YouTube, you know, but I think there was a time that I fed off of it almost, you know, like, I don't know if I pay here or if I pay up, but, I just can't live like that anymore. I just can't, you know? And when I see it in somebody else, like I said, it's like, I was talking a little bit about this on my Peterisms channel today. It's like a, hold on a second.
Another Diet Coke, right?
Yep. Your hair looks pretty.
Thank you.
she got her hair done. It looks different. She's got long braids. They look pretty. Thank you. But I think when I see it today, I don't judge it. What I see is who I used to be, and I don't like that. And I also see people that don't realize really the detriment that it's doing to themselves. You know, that when you're like that and you're negative and all that kind of stuff, it's just, it affects your physical health. It affects your emotional, spiritual, mental health. It affects your personal relationships, your marriage, your dating somebody. It affects your family relationships. It affects your work relationships. It affects just people that you pass in the street. It impacts your sense of entitlement, and it impacts what you feel like the world owes you. It just impacts everything. And I think often that when we're in that chaos and toxicity, we don't even really realize it. I really don't think that we do, you know? I think 9 times out of 10, if you said to somebody that was really, really, you know, messy and chaotic and said, you know, have you taken a look at kind of like what's going on with you? I think they'd say, what are you talking about? No, you're the one with the problem. And I think I would have said that back in the day. I'm sure I probably did say that to somebody, you know? And I look back at it and it's like my life is so different today. I mean, it really, really is. And, I don't know. I don't want to go back to that. It's like I have a friend of mine in my personal life, and I love her to death. I do. And, hi.
Hi, large knife?
Yeah, thank you. And, she and I have been friends for, I mean, years. And she is so negative. I mean, if she watches right now, she'd be like, this is nothing. He tells me all the time. And I'm always like, girl, you are seriously one of the most negative people I've ever met in my entire life. And she'll be like, no, I'm honest. And I'm like, I mean, this is almost kind of a joke. And I'll be like, I worry about you. Like, I worry about you because you just have no awareness at how negative you are, you know? And I'm like, and I'll share stories. I'll be like, hey, I used to be that negative, you know? Like, Alex would say, you're so negative. I don't want you to be this negative. You're not enjoying life. You know, we're not enjoying life together and whatever. And he was right. And, no, I'm not negative. She'll laugh at me when I bring it up. You know, and like one time she said to me, she said, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I do see things a little bit negative. I was like, oh my God, seriously? You see, oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. I didn't even realize I had talked for that long. I thought I had talked for like 10 minutes or something. But, well, I guess I had looked and it was at 16, so I knew I was past that, but. This thing goes so fast sometimes, especially when I say I don't have anything to talk about. You know, I don't know. But I also think our, you know, creative spirit, I just think that I can only speak of my own experience, you know? So I think that when I was really negative and my life was full of chaos and toxicity, oh, my nose. I think that I attracted that. You know, I think you attract what you are to some degree. And so if that's who I was attracting a lot of that. And I don't attract that today. You know, today in my life, you know, I attract friends that are sources of light and positivity and And sure, they don't have super exciting lives, you know what I mean? Like, the majority of my friends are just have real normal run-of-the-mill lives. But there's not a lot of that craziness. You know, it's like Melissa and Jason. There's just, I mean, it's almost next to no drama. I mean, I can't even think of any drama that we've had, you know? With, like, Tanya and her husband Eric, there's like, there just isn't. Like, I don't surround myself with people today. And I think it's because I don't attract that anymore. You know, I think that we attract what we are sometimes. I don't want that in my life. You know, I just don't. And that's why I say, like, and I guess I say it to inspire others. And maybe somebody can look at my story and be like, ask themselves, like, am I negative? Do I not even realize it? Because I did not realize it. I mean, I realized, sure, you know, I look at the world as half empty instead of half full. But I didn't realize that, like, you know, we would go to a movie or something and I'd be like, ugh, look at this line. Are you sure you want treats? We're going to have to wait in line 20 minutes. Oh my God, there's no seats. Why can't we get the seats that we want? We always come to the wrong movie. I mean, it was literally everything, right? And then, you know, it's like everything that happened in the world was being done to me. You know, it was all just this victimization. I was totally victimizing myself. It was all like, you know, oh, woe is me, this is happening to me. And then my retaliation to that was, I'm going to get somebody. I'm going to show somebody. I'm going to wait. You better wait because I'm going to get you. And who wants to live that way? My God, that's no way to live. It's sad is what it is, you know? I don't live that way today. It's not worth it. But I also think that one of the things that's happened in the last year is that my sponsor is really big on bringing everything full circle back to me. Like, literally everything she brings back to me, you know? Like, well, what's your part in this? Well, what's your part in this? Well, what do you need to work on? How is this an opportunity for growth for you? What is your opportunity and growth for this? What's your part in it? We were talking about something tonight, and she was like, completely... I think sometimes when I talk on here, people think that everything I talk about is YouTube, when YouTube is like literally about 15% of my life. But anyway, so I was talking to her about some stuff that was going on with some friends of mine, and completely removed from YouTube. And like, I really didn't even, to be honest, I didn't have a part in it at all. And I was just kind of like telling her the story of what had happened. And she goes, well, what's your part in this? I go, I don't think I really have a part in it. And then she goes, so what are you telling me for? And she just started laughing. She was like eating at this pizza place, and she was eating outside next to the side of the road. And I'm like real protective of her. Like, I don't, like, she wants to be on my channel so bad, and I'm like, no. And she's like, it's kind of funny. She's got kind of like a rough voice, and she's like, I can handle myself. Don't even worry about it. I'm like, no, girl, you're not, okay, gonna be on my channel. Tanya's like, let her be on there. I'm like, no. I love her to death. She would do anything for anybody in the entire world. And she is amazing. And, she looks kind of like a real housewife a little bit. Well, she does. And, she lives her life with such morals and integrity, including admitting, you know, when she's got a part in something. That's why she always puts it on me. She just never asks me of something of myself that she wouldn't ask of herself, you know? And I love that about her. And, you know, like when the right person at the right time comes in your life and it just seems like kismet. I mean, like, that's how it was. I mean, I've known her for a while, but like, you know, the really cool thing is this, is that for years, all of my friends that were women had these amazing relationships with their sponsors. And I had good relationships with my sponsors, but there was always something missing. And I always had heterosexual male sponsors because, you know, you're not supposed to have a sponsor that there could be any form of attraction to whatsoever, right? So I always had heterosexual male sponsors. They were typically much older than me and had a lot of sobriety time. And I believed that men sponsored men and women sponsored women. That's what we're taught. That's the suggestions, 12-step programs. But the pamphlet says, there's a pamphlet on sponsorship. It says that gay men can have female sponsors and that lesbians can have male sponsors. It says that in the pamphlet. But I always felt like, no, I want to follow what I'm supposed to do. I want to do it the way that I'm supposed to do it. All this kind of stuff, you know? But I would see all of my friends, my male friends that had great relationships, and they go golfing and camping and all this stuff with their sponsors. And then my female friends would go out to dinner and shopping and sleepovers and all this kind of stuff. And I just really never had that, you know? Like, I never had that kinship with my sponsor where I really felt like they were my mentor, but they were also like on a beyond, between a friend and a mentor, but of a mentor, you know what I mean? And, you know, the difference is, and my sponsor said to me, she said, if you were straight out of the gates, you know, 2 days sober, I wouldn't sponsor you. But the fact that you've had, you know, 24 and a half years sober, I said in my Q&A, Tanya even corrected me on it, because she's been sober 24 and a half years, because Tanya's a year behind, so she was like, because she said, I know that, is she a year behind? She's 2 years behind. I think Tanya's a year behind, so she's 23 and a half. But anyway, she was like, but you said 22 in your video, and a couple people commented on it. So I've been sober 24 and a half years, more than that now. And, you know, so my sponsor was like, I wouldn't have sponsored, well, she also talked to her sponsor about it, but she said, I wouldn't have sponsored you, like, you know, right out of the gate, because I think it would be, you probably need a man in that situation and whatever, because it is different, you know, for men and women going through early sobriety and things like that. It really is. And, you know, like, if you think about this, like, this is just one example that has been given to me through the years. You know, my mom got sober at 51, and she was in, like, late stages of menopause at the time. If she had gotten a male sponsor at the time, one of the things that my mom really, really struggled with in early sobriety was going through menopause and getting sober. And I'm not sure that that's something that a lot of men can probably relate to, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, at 24 and a half years, she feels pretty comfortable with it. But like, we were, you know, talking about something to do with these friends tonight. She's sitting there on the side at this pizza place, and she's like, I'm sitting real close to the road, you're gonna have to talk up. So I'm like, she's laughing at me, and I'm telling her this story, and she's like, well, what's your part in it? And I go, I'm just telling you, I don't have a part in this. And she's like, well, if you don't have a part in it, are you gossiping, or what, are you just telling me the story or whatever? Because it's people that she knows. I was like, yeah, I was just hanging out talking to my friend. She goes, oh, I thought this was weird, having a serious conversation. I go, no, gal, we're just talking. I didn't have anything serious to tell you. So anyway, she's so good for me. And then, you know, Tanya got her as a sponsor, and so now Tanya and I are sister sponsees, which I cannot tell you how many times in this car I've been like, get her as a sponsor, 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 and Tanya was like, no, because Tanya knows her as well, you know, and so finally she was like, she has what I want, and just because she's your sponsor too, and it works out, I don't know how, but it works out so fantastically, and in a weird way, it's brought Tanya and I closer together, you know? But it's also awesome because we both trust her so much that, like, Tanya can talk to her about things that she knows I'll never find out about. I mean, she's not going to ever pass that stuff on, you know? It's amazing. I love my sponsor. I love Tanya. I love being in sobriety. I feel so blessed to be a person in recovery, you know, and have been given that gift. And when I think about, you know, that there are people every day that are never introduced to recovery and never given that gift, they'll never even know about it, you know? And I know it seems crazy with shows like Intervention and, you know, all the TVs and the movies and whatever, but there are people out there that have never heard of a 12-step program, you know? They've never heard of treatment or detox. They don't know that people get sober through churches or however, you know, there's several different ways. For me, I just choose to be in a 12-step program, but like there's a lot, and I think it's important that I say that there's a lot of different ways that people can get sober. That's not the one and only way, but for me, that's what I choose. And I feel blessed that I've been given that gift, you know. And there's people that, you know, I say a prayer every day for the still suffering alcoholic and addict. There's a lot of people out there, hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people suffering every day from addiction. It's not just this amazing life that I was given. It's, you know, rescue and freedom from this world that I was living in. And I look back on that and I think, my God, you know, my dad really cleared it up for me when we had lunch this summer. And I talked about this on here to some degree. I don't remember exactly how he said it, but I said to him something. We were talking about, like, back in the day. My dad doesn't really love to talk about what it used to be like for me. I think it was so painful for him. Like, he'll say some things and he'll have a conversation, but he doesn't really love to entertain the conversation. I think it's really painful for him, you know? And I said to him something like, I sometimes wonder, or I often wonder, what would happen if I was still drinking and using? And I want to make this clear, not that it matters, but I just think it's important for people to know. You know, I think a lot of people hear me identify as an alcoholic, and I'm definitely, alcohol was a drug of choice, if not my drug of choice. I loved to drink. I absolutely loved to drink. I loved everything about it. What I didn't love about drinking was when it no longer worked for me, when I couldn't control it, which was most of my life. But even during periods of my life, I kind of liked the fact that I couldn't control it and I was out of control. There was something about that that desperation was alluring to me. I don't know why they have sprinklers on the street, but they do. But there was something about that desperation that I liked. But, you know, I said to my drug addiction was just as bad. I mean, towards the end, definitely. You know, like, I smoked pot every single day. I mean, tons every single day. I ate pills. Vicodin was my drug of choice, you know, next to alcohol. And I ate just as many Vicodin as I drank. And it was really bad. And then at the end, it was cocaine that took me down, you know. And I was snorting cocaine and I was, you know, smoking crack cocaine. And, but there was really nothing that I wouldn't try. And if I didn't try, it was because it wasn't introduced to me. And I said to my dad at lunch that day, I said, I sometimes wonder, or I often wonder, like, where I would be if, like, I hadn't gotten sober back then. I mean, he did not even miss a beat. And he looked at me and he goes, "You'd be dead." He said, "You would absolutely be dead." Like, with fear and conviction in his voice, like he just is so sure of that, you know? And see, for me, because it's hard, you know, like, I was talking about this the other day to some of my friends that are newer in the program, and I said, you know, there's the plight of the old timer. Like, once you have, like, 20 years, you're called an old timer in the program. But, like, there's the plight of the old timer. I mean, we don't talk a lot about how hard it is to be sober when you're older, you know? But it is. There's a lot that goes along with being sober for a long period of time that people don't talk about. It's tough sometimes. You start rationalizing, well, maybe I'm not an addict. Maybe I'm not an alcoholic, you know? Maybe this was just a problem I had in my early 20s in high school. Maybe I don't have the problem now. Maybe I can drink a beer. Maybe I can drink a glass of wine. You know, you start thinking about those things. The people that I knew back then, they're not in my life today. You know, if my dad was gone and passed away, well, there'd be nobody that really ever knew me back then. Tanya didn't even know me when I was drinking and using, you know? So I could drink and use, and maybe I'm not an alcoholic. Your mind, you think that alcoholic and addict goes away. It does not. It just gets stronger every day in your head, and it plays games with you, which is why I continue to go to meetings, which is why I continue to work a program and have a sponsor, because my mind, the addict alcoholic in my head just continues to play tricks on me, right? That's the plight of the addict and alcoholic. And when I sit in here and I tell you that I have, you know, 4 friends, 2 very close friends that in the last 3 to 4 years had double-digit years, one with 21 years of sobriety, 21 years of sobriety that was going to meetings, and one day just stopped going to meetings, okay? And I'm telling you, within 6 months, this person was living on their drug dealer's couch and had lost custody of their children, and, I mean, horrific stories. Dear, dear friends of mine. Like, one of my very closest friends of life. This shit's no joke. It's no joke. I don't mess around with it. I don't joke about it. It's not funny to me, you know? It's so scary to me, and it makes me so sad for people out there that are still suffering, you know? There's so many people out there, you know, I have so many friends of mine that like have tried to get this program. I mean, time and time and time again, and for some reason it just doesn't stick for them, you know? And I don't know what it is, and I don't judge them for it. I don't know, you know, if they don't want it bad enough, or they're not willing to do the work, or, you know, they say, like, you know, slogan that it's a simple program for complex people, you know? And it's like, I don't know. I just think, like, I was so scared. And in reality, I mean, and I'm just telling this just to help somebody, I wasn't scared to... This is the kind of stuff that when I say it, it's like, I think sometimes it's misconstrued, but I think it's important, so whatever. You know, I was scared of being homeless because I had never been forced to take care of myself before. I had never really had a real job besides dealing. I had no idea how to really pay my bills or take care of myself. And I knew that if I didn't stay sober... Oh, I just lost my chopstick. I knew if I didn't stay sober, my dad was done with me. Period. End of story. And I was scared to death of being homeless. And homelessness to me at that time, like, I knew there was nowhere I could go. Because my dad had already called my mom, who was in the middle of her own addiction, and said, don't you dare let him in the house. Don't take his phone calls. Don't you let him in. Don't do it. When I was in treatment, because I was begging her to come get me. So I would call her, and she'd just hang up the phone. Because she didn't know what to do. She was scared to death, you know. And, my dad had called all my friends and said, if you care about Peter, don't take his calls, because he's going to end up dying and he's going to manipulate you. And I'm so, I mean, to think about that, you know, that my dad did all, I mean, he went and talked to the doctor. So the doctor, my addictionologist, was actually one of my dad's dearest friends, and still is to this day. Man saved my life. And he told my dad, like, my dad went to him and said, because my dad's super successful in life. I mean, everything that my dad does, he's extremely successful at. Everything. You know? And he went to so my dad went to him and said, listen, like, I had been checked in for like a day in treatment, and my dad said, listen, everything that I touch in my life turns to gold except for my kid. I don't know what to do, but, like, I am laying him at your doorstep. You tell me what to do and I will do it, because I trust you and I believe in you. And he told my dad what to do, and my dad did everything that he told him to do. And that is the reason that I'm here today. I really believe that. And my fear of, I mean, people talk about, you have to hit your bottom, you have to hit your bottom. No, I'm not a believer in that. I'm just not. I'm sorry. You know, I think that, like, I don't even know that I know necessarily what my 10 closest bottoms. I can tell you I came real close, and I think I was a low bottom drinker, which means that I was drinking so much at the end. I mean, it was disgusting how much I was drinking. I was drinking a 5.5 of Jack Daniels a day alone, okay? That's not counting the beer. That's not counting the 40s that I was drinking. I was drinking about 4 40s a day or something. I mean, I was drinking so much, you guys, on top of eating Vicodin, smoking pot, doing cocaine. It was unbelievable at the end. How I'm even here today is beyond me. It's totally, totally beyond me. And, but, you know, like, people talk about having to hit your bottom. They're like, oh, well, people won't really get sober unless they hit their bottom. I think that's total BS. I don't believe that. My bottom straight up is death. I know that. My dad said it. You'd be dead if you were still using. I know for a fact my bottom is death. I know that, you know? And, I just didn't hit my bottom. But I think that you can choose your bottom. You know, like, I have so many friends of mine that are mothers, and they have kids that are young. Like, kids that are young enough that probably wouldn't remember, like, if they got sober today and stayed sober, that they wouldn't remember their mom's drinking, right? And I always make a point of going up to them and saying, I know this is hard, but if you can, like, because I believe that you can do it for reasons like getting your job back, saving your marriage, whatever. If that's what it takes to initiate it, like, this is why it's important for us to set limits and boundaries with people and say, if you continue to do this, I'm out, I'm leaving, okay? And they have to, you know, feel what that feels like, or you're gonna lose your job, or you're gonna do this. But you have to be able to stick to it if you're gonna do it and really mean it. My family did. My family said, the next time you pick up, we're done with you. You're homeless. Don't ever call us again. We don't want to talk to, I mean, my whole family, everybody was done. My friends were like, we're scared of your dad. Don't call here. Okay. We don't want to talk to you. So I had literally nowhere to go, and I knew that, right? But I say to my friends, you know, my mom got sober at 51. What she repaired in that period of her life at 51 years old, I gotten sober, so I was 23, right? She got sober 6 months after I did. I was just about, she got sober right before I turned 23. She fixed every wrongdoing that she had done to me with her sobriety, you know? And it's like, do it for your kids, do it for your marriage, do it for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's an amazing life. It's an amazing life. And I know it's scary. I know it's so scary because we don't know, you know, like, well, what's this going to be like, or what's going to happen, or, you know, I don't know what sobriety is going to be like. I don't know what my life is going to be like if I'm not drinking or using drugs or eating these pills. I know it's scary, you know? But what's the alternative? My old sponsor used to say to me, I'd say, like, you know, in talking about friends of mine that had gone back out, I'd say, you know, well, like, I pray that they'll come back in. He goes, why would you do that? And he'd say, you know, and I'd say, because I want, you know, that for them. He goes, you know, maybe their higher power has something else planned for them. You know, you never know what somebody else, maybe their higher power has planned for them to get sober through church or start a new family and have that be the way. You never know what somebody needs. And I think the one thing I would always say to people is, don't ever, ever, ever give up on somebody. You don't know. It could be tomorrow, you know? I am constantly amazed of people who get sober, you know? Sobriety is a cool world. It's a world that I didn't even know that I wanted to be part of, you know? It's really cool. Oh, it's gonna stop pulling. I went a little bit longer than I said I was gonna go tonight. I thought I would go just like a half an hour, but I ended up going longer. I know there are people out there right now that are watching this that either have family or friends or they're suffering themselves from addiction, you know, and I never gave up hope with my mom. I almost did, you know. I was just like, who gets sober this late in life? And the fact that she got sober at 51, and you know, the reality is, I remember my mom drinking. Like, I remember instances of her being blitzed and wasted and whatever. But the reality is, the majority, like, I mean, in all honesty, come on, camera. What I remember the most about my mom is her sobriety, and us sitting there and talking about sobriety, and her sitting there and us talking about, you know, drinking coffee and, you know, smoking cigarettes and talking about what meeting we went to and who did we meet. Oh, did you ever hear this lead and whatever. That's what I remember, you know. I remember that. And that's a pretty fantastic memory to have, you know, layered on top of memories of my mother drinking. And I've had so many friends of mine say to me, I hope you feel blessed that you got sober and your mom got sober before she passed away. Because they'll say, you know, my mom died or my dad died and they didn't get to see me sober. You know, your mom got to see that. You know, you got to see her sober. And I wish it had been different for me. And I think about that, you know, and I think about how fragile life is and how short life is. And we say that. But do you see how beautiful the sky is behind me? But, I mean, do we really believe that? Do we really act that way, you know? That life is really, truly that fragile? Because it is. You know, those changes that we say that we're going to make, those things that we say that we're going to do, that trip that we say we're going to take, like, how many of us out there said we're going to go visit somebody and then it's too late, you know? Like, I don't... It's sad. My mom, for years and years and years, wanted to go visit her friend Diane on the island, Beaver Island, Michigan, where she lived, and she would say, I need to go back to the island, because we had gone when I was like, I was going into my sophomore year in high school, and we hadn't gone since, and she hadn't gone. And people from Indianapolis would always go up there in the summer, like, because they knew Diane, and they would just go up there and stay for a week or whatever, and they'd tell my mom that, you can come with us if you want. No, I'll do next year. Same as going out to visit my Aunt Susie, my mom hated to fly. She was terrified of it. So she would never go visit Susie in Colorado. She never, I don't think she ever made it out there once. Her dearest friend on the face of the earth, she never went to go visit. Susie always came here. And they would talk on the phone and stuff like that. But you can't put that stuff off. Because you don't know what's waiting around the corner, And hopefully tons of more time and experiences and moments for all of us. But what if not, I mean, we won't really know, but people that are left behind will. People that, that are here will remember that we didn't get to spend that time with them or visit the island. And I can remember when Diane passed away or passed on, she died 3 years before my mom did. And I remember going over there. My mom was so upset about it. I remember, after I said that, she said, because she said to me, I'll never forget this, she said, who now will know my soul? That's what my mom said to me about Diane, because Diane was her dearest, oldest friend from high school. And then I remember we were sitting there talking, and she said, I always said I was going to go back to the island, and I never did. I never went back to the island, And she wanted to, every summer, she wanted to go back. I think it's important to, live our lives like that. All right. I'm going to get off here now, and I'm going to listen to my audiobook and sit in thought for a little bit about those things. Figure out what things I want to do that I'm putting off. I don't do that as much as I used to, though. I mean, there are things I put off, but not tons of things. And if I do, it's they're huge bucket list things, going to Fiji or Tahiti or something like that I can't just afford to do tomorrow, you know what I mean? Anyway, I am going to get off here now, so I hope you guys are having an amazing Friday. Stick around. I will be doing live streams this weekend. It's PP and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. I have a special announcement that I'm really excited to make this weekend. So hang around and have an amazing Friday and an amazing weekend, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Life is not a dress rehearsal. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you tell yourself that every day, that you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, and that you believe it in your heart and soul, and that you pass it on to somebody else. Most importantly, that you let somebody else know how important they are to you. And it can be anybody. Just let them know. And yeah. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.